Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions, and we've got a couple close roadie groups on Facebook, one called Death by Loadout and another one called The Backstage Pass. With me this evening is my good friend, Kyle Thomas. We're going to do a special show. How are you, Kyle Thomas?
I'm great, Vinny. Another day, another dog biscuit.
Yeah. I remember last time we were talking about dog biscuits, I was in the shit, man. And I got 2 vaccinations, the doctor's appointment. They're like, hey, by the way, do you have your vaccinations? And man, I got my ass handed to me. So
yeah, it looks like your color's back today.
Yeah, I was green for a minute there. It was a trip. It was super weird, but much better, I should say. And getting to kick it here with one of our dear friends that has flown in to visit with us. And so we're doing a special show to capture his moment with him. We've actually had him on the show before, but we had a real Wi-Fi issue, and I didn't feel like it did justice for the person and the caliber and the coolness of this guest. So we're lucky enough to get him here physically with us. But let's do some housework before we get to that.
Definitely. Like you were saying, it's a pleasure to have him around. It's nice to meet him. I just want to thank you for the great stories and the wisdom over the past couple of years.
And sweet.
You know, you've been really helpful through COVID and stuff for a lot of people, and it was been great for myself and my own growth to kind of hear the stories and everything that's been generated. So just want to reach out and say thank you, Big Daddy, for that shit. It's awesome.
Let me add to that. We did this a little bit last week, but I sincerely, you're very welcome, and it's been a treat having you. You came in and swept in over after Bernie Broderick and I started this up. Dear good friend Bernie Broderick, and to fill his seat, he's a very gregarious, very Canadian, sweet man, and incredibly intelligent. And to put you in that seat was a real treat. You did it pretty seamlessly, and you've been great. And we've had some good experiences together. And now it's time for you to go out and do some touring and get that good money. And we're gonna miss you. But we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much from all of us here in the crew, Mikey and Zachy and all the boys, and for being a great co-host, man. You've added a lot to the show, and it's been more fun because you've been here. So thank you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And on that tip, I just want to thank Mike Brown and Zach Watkins. It's been great, fucking awesome working with you guys, and the show's been that much better with Zach helping. So just want to reach out and say we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's good having the behind-the-scenes crew. They're very, very good.
Yeah. And we're still trucking with this XXL training. I got on a user forum, this SXL experts group, and just want to say thanks, Sean Sully. Reach out to him and just let him know how much we appreciate his time. And
is Sully running that group? Is that his group?
I believe so. I mean, he's the one who answers it mostly. Scoville chimes in, a bunch of other people, but He's been really helpful. Just pointing out some stuff, some weak points maybe in my workflow.
Takes a village, brother. Right on.
Also want to say thank you, and it's awesome that you're back, Tim O'Connor. He just got over and is healing from a surgery. So he came in today. It was really great to see him. We just wanted to give him some love. He
had a cardiac event, and he went and got that taken care of, and he seems to be doing fine, and we're glad for that. Good for Tim.
Yeah, his color's back. He's working. I think he worked a gig with us a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago.
I think you're right. I think even a few since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good to see him, man. And we're happy he's doing all right.
Yeah.
I also want to thank Jackie at Sweet Treatments. She's been
Jackie Carcetti.
She's been awesome help. Hired my lovely roommate, Ryan Devriant, to slay the industry and set everybody's backstage setups up. So
that's a really good thing for her to have done. No, we love Jackie. She's amazing. She's she's an extraordinarily talented woman and has a great company that does some amazing, really beautiful scenic work. And you're having the big Princes coming through. You want Jackie to build that out for you. As Rolling Stones coming in, she's one of the top people in her thing. She's amazing. She's done amazing stuff for Snoop Dogg and everybody in between. She's just been in the business. She's kind of old school, her history, and we don't go into it here, but she's been for a long time been in the mix one way or another, and she's a very talented lady. So
yeah,
and one of our sponsors, and we're
not
super
only a
grateful.
sponsor, she's been on the show. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Jackie, go back in our previous episodes and go hunt her stuff down.
Absolutely, it was a great episode.
Also, getting this View AL12 rig all tuned up and repping. It sounds great. I think we got a nice little package going now. Just recently we got maybe 16 subs, 32 tops, something like that. All ripping, sounding great now.
It's about to do, we're about to get big with it and have some fun, and that should be super good.
Well, the last
Really
little
happy to
View stuff we got kicked out, we sent out a little side fill package and a separate main PA for Jason Derillo. That went really well.
Yeah.
We just want to reach out and say thanks for the great show and looking forward to working with them again.
Yeah, that went well.
Also, we got a PM5D out with Kenny G, which I still think is hilarious. Yes, we are still renting PM5Ds, people.
You'd be surprised. I don't think people understand, or maybe don't think about it, but in a company our size with the amount of stuff that we have, and we don't get rid of much, so we're just alone in some of our boneyards, there's some amazing history of rock and roll and the good equipment. Nothing's wrong with it. It all works well. Somebody asks for it. We have certain artists that will say, hey, send us two H3000s, and we're like, done, no problem. So Kenny wanted a 5D, and Kenny's going to get a 5D, no problem.
Yeah, it's just crazy. These older consoles still going out. Still see that Gamble go out a lot, and we're seeing this PM5D. I mean,
the
at least 3 or 4 days.
People retrofitting them to be on the road, weird shit. Yeah, there's kind of cool stuff. Kevin's doing that with Green Day. Like some really interesting approaches to some of the older boards and how to get them out there and get that special flavor out of them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, lastly, I just wanted to welcome Matt Gill to our crew. We just got him full time, and
He's a good boy. Yeah.
we love us some Matt Gill. So you're welcome to send him a message on Facebook and bug him a little bit. Say congratulations.
I don't even know Matt does. I know Matt's such a under the radar guy, but yeah, very talented, fresh out of touring, and he's going to come and help around and be a new member of our team, and it should be good. He's been working with us off and on forever, and but yeah, I guess he's making a slight change in his game, and he's kind of a new daddy, and relatively recently married, and so he's looking to do it a little differently, and we're happy to try to make that work. So yeah,
Definitely.
he's a good addition.
Awesome. That's all I got, Big Daddy.
Listen, man, you pulled that out of your hat because we're doing this on the fly a little bit. I'm really lucky. We've been somewhat busy, and so, but I've had this plan for my good friend to come in and visit us, and I'm going to get with him. But thanks for pulling that out of your hat. That was nice, and it showed the way you're thinking. Some of the folks that you thanked in. So thank you for that, man. That's very kind.
Definitely.
All right, brother. Let's do it. So first of all, I know you got to spend some time with this cat, like with the boards, and picking his brain. Like we were sitting there with you for a minute and listening to him go through talking about plugins and shit. I love it. I love this. This is not something that I get into too much. It's a little. I operate in a slightly different lane, but to listen to you guys carry on about the different colors and shapes of things. It's super fun for me, so I enjoy that a great deal. This evening, you guys, a dear good friend of ours came in. He is a legendary. Well, I think of him as a front of house guy, a mixer, a guy that makes pretty sounds come out of big speakers. But the truth is, he's actually a logistics. This is the guy when you need your tour to go right. You need a good production manager, you need a good tour manager. You want to pair him up, and he's got the big shoulders that can take the job on. He'll do in tandem with some of the biggest bands in the world, from Five Finger Death Punch to. I got to get out of these. I just can't say anything. Excuse me for a second. The Outlaws, Molly Hatchet, Anthrax, Toby Keith. The lists are so long. I want to talk to him about Sly and the Family Stone. How many people do get to come on my show and tell me about Sly and the Family Stone? I mean, it's amazing stuff. It is the one and only, the omnipresent, my brother from another mother, a man that I absolutely adore. Scotty Pearlman.
Vince.
How are you, buddy?
Vince.
What?
I'll tell you what.
It's so good to see you, man.
It's good to see you, too.
I'm really happy to have you here in real flesh and blood. This is so much more better than that last
It was me, by the way, who had crappy internet.
Well, I know. I'm fully not blaming us, but
no, it's me.
It's not.
I know.
This is one of those things that's outside of our control a little bit.
No.
You live in 40 acres in Indiana.
Without paddle.
And these guys are jackasses and won't, for whatever reason, get their. I think in a smaller market like that, they don't really have to.
That name right here in front of everybody?
Listen, man, knock yourself out.
All right. Hashtag mainstream fiber. You can kiss my ass. You're only a quarter mile from my house. I get satellite. That's it.
That's ridiculous.
Anyway, yeah, so
absolutely ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. And you are right to be disappointed in it.
I'm highly disappointed.
Oh, I have personally been on the phone with you for try to have a normal human conversation and have to call back 4 times.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta call you back because my left leg isn't in the air.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing the tinfoil hat.
Need to get a little more tin in that.
Yeah.
No, this is so not on you. This is it's the dilemma of the internet service providers in the larger parts of the country, the lesser populated parts of the company.
Rural, sorry.
The rural areas of the country, and this seems to be a very real concern and something that
I demand equal internet for all.
Oh, good luck with that.
It came on a bill, I think. It wasn't,
no, they're probably charging you through.
Saying that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, they're taking your money, right?
Promised us, a lot of internet, and they didn't.
Yeah, I remember this. I think the new infrastructure thing, not to get too far afield here, but I think there's some money in there for that, and hopefully that plays out.
Yeah, it could be.
Well,
it'll be gone by then, but it'll be great.
It is.
Yeah.
No. Oh, maybe. That's a whole different.
Yeah,
that's a different subject.
But it's just being here is it wasn't for the sole reason of checking my email because of better internet in San Francisco.
Yeah,
it was more about seeing you and your little brother and all the wonderful people here.
Really,
it really did my soul good to be here. Because you're sitting home after healing and 3 years or 2.5 years of everything else, and you lose touch.
Yeah,
it's better just to be hanging out and seeing great people here.
Yeah,
and. Very happy that everybody's busy, and very happy that people I respect a lot, have good things going on with their lives.
Yes, sir.
So good for them.
Well,
and it's like I said, it's amazing being out here.
Well, I think part of it was you needed to be around some of your tribe members. You were disconnected for a little bit, and as much as social media allows us to reach out, and I know that I know you're friends with the Martin Fries and the Pooch, and you have these good connections. You can reach out to folk, Jim, but it's sometimes you got to have that physical.
You do. There's no way you can be that isolated.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you can cannot. Like a couple times I ventured out. Like I went down to Nashville to see a friend and hang out just a week before I came here.
Yes.
And this was like a real trip, just about connecting. And thanks to this gentleman over here and this side, giving me a better starting point than I had before on the S6L, and because it's important.
Well,
a wealth of knowledge and
for a youngster, this guy is sharp, man. I got to tell you, don't take the youngster thing wrong. You are a young guy, but you're also a really talented guy, Kyle. He digs in deep to the nuts and bolts of the thing and gets in there. And he's also equally proficient, maybe more so in the Digico world.
Yeah, the Digico.
Yeah. So his skills very wide, fan out really well.
Yeah,
and he's a good guy.
A favorite of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's just, but I just think I have to get more familiar with the architecture because, crazy things have happened on the desk for me personally.
Yes, I've heard that before. It's, I guess we're going to just say that the different companies have various offers and offerings. Yeah. And they work to different degrees in different ways for us all.
Absolutely.
And because we're a company that uses it pretty much everybody's work, depending on what the writer calls for.
Right.
So we're happy to support all of them. But yes, I get it that there's a comfort zone that can happen in a board where you start to really get its workflow.
It had nothing to do with the board itself.
Yeah, like I know you're a 6L fan and an avid guy, and we get that totally. And that's why we've got that board up there. But before we go into that, I want to talk about something you just mentioned. Yeah. You mentioned that you were 2.5 years and that you were doing some healing. And I know you've been on the show before, but we didn't go so well. So if you don't mind, we're going to probably go over a couple things again, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, baby. How are you feeling?
Great.
You had a quadruple bypass.
I did.
Was it 5 weeks ago?
Oh, 5 months.
5 months?
Yeah, October 15th.
I was worried about you, baby. I won't lie to you. It freaked me out.
It was unique. That's all I can tell you.
They did the whole chest thing, and
I can't even look at a turkey anymore after that. I can't carve a turkey anymore.
Too real.
Because it's just, I feel empathy towards a turkey for cracking his shit. Stuff. Sorry.
No, feel free. All the words are acceptable here.
The basic food groups.
Yeah, we speak French here fluently.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's very nice. We could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it was an emergent thing. It wasn't like I'd known for a week and I was going to be cracked open and put on the table. It was a process of trying to figure out how to get out of the drain.
Yeah.
You're feeling like crap, and you can't really go anywhere because of COVID and all that other crap. So you go, I think I'll have a number 2 Wendy's.
Yeah.
At least 3 times a week. Let's go make our blood sugar, more than that octopus over there with the hat.
Yeah.
So it all led, checking lists. I went to my doctor and I said, let's do this, so I can understand what's going on and what can I fix.
You weren't feeling well, if I remember.
Well, yeah, it wasn't
feeling
feel
a little
good.
Low energy kind of thing.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
but,
I get it.
But what changed it was a diet. I lost, so far, I guess, about 35, 40 pounds.
Badass.
And all the numbers are good. And but the last thing was, going to see a cardiologist. It was only because my doctor saw a little blip on the EKG, and he saw something that maybe not right. And then I went through the whole process, just like Tim.
Yeah.
Right?
Tim O'Connor just had this. Yeah.
A survivor of that, which is a whole other thing.
Sure.
And then they told me after all that I needed to have quadruple bypass. And even me saying that out loud right now is weird because it's a blur. 5 days in the hospital, 5 months at home. The only thing I really, can tell you is that my chest hurt for a good while.
Yeah, bad.
And my brain felt a bit disconnected because there's a process that you don't really, you can look up a quadruple bypass, but, they bypass you from your body and your brain. They put a central line right here, and then they zap you back again when you're done, which, I hadn't seen that procedure in a little while, and then you realize it's you. It doesn't always remind you. So we're all very, I don't know what the word is, easily can wind up in that position.
Well, I think we're more fragile than we think. Some of us roll around. I mean, you're a big man, you're a tough guy, and we probably think we're harder than we are, but something like that. I always marvel at the advancements in medicine. Who was the guy that cracked a guy's chest open first, disconnected him, broke out his, ripped a cord out of the wall, and how the hell did they figure it out? It's extraordinary to me. I love that you are on the other side of this. They took some veins from your legs. And,
I
mean,
that
it's
was
just
supposed to hurt more, actually, which it didn't. But like I said, the strangest thing for the last couple months, and, other people like Brad Dibbins has made it known, wonderful, great engineer. Mm-hmm. He had a whole different world, but it was the same result. He was, he had told me a story about him just walking up a little incline on his driveway. Yeah. And he's fit. He's not overweight or anything like that. No,
he's actually a very trim, he's a young, healthy, really. Older guy.
Very sexy guy. Just, on a personal level. But he wound up on a table. I didn't have to do that. I mean, it was, the results are the same. Yeah. And he'll tell you that, I think for various reasons, he'll tell you that, his attitude was, for getting well, was driven by, obviously, his beautiful wife, his career. That's right. And he's got, he feels, I think, he's supposed to feel better after a certain amount of time. You feel better like all this has worked out the way it's supposed to. Maybe a year or so. It depends for everybody.
Well, we had him on the show, and he seemed like he was in a really good place.
He was in a really good place.
Yeah,
he was.
Like he had gotten through some tough stuff.
Very tough stuff. Yeah,
but was had enough distance with it where he seemed like he was really doing well.
Yeah, the thing about it is you can't think about the fact that every little extra bump in your chest, every last thing that goes on there is like a new thing, and then in your chest, it doesn't sometimes always heal, so you get a little crack now and again, which is a wake-up call because you go, my body's cracking this way now.
No
the
shit.
kneecaps, or something.
Wow, that sounds creepy and weird.
Well, it's just like I said, people don't, people are having heart attacks and dying out there, on the road. We've seen a lot of people, and I'm tired, really, even if I don't know them directly, of saying my condolences to your family, to you, and all that. And I'm sure I'm not going to go sit on a pedestal and say, you, and you, if you feel something, go do it, because it's expensive, like you had good insurance at the time.
Right.
But it's also life altering. And if you feel something, you really should do something. You owe it to your family, your wife, kids, or otherwise,
Your
whatever
friends,
you have.
people that care about you, sure.
But that's just me figuring it out after 57 years on the planet.
Right.
And also, I had family, background that, my
Some history there.
biological dad dropped at like 57, my age.
Yeah, mine was 56.
Yeah, and my grandfather, was, I think a little later, but that wasn't actually even the reason I started. It was all that. It's just I knew I had a history, and I also knew that whatever was going on couldn't go on any longer.
Yeah. Not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable for anybody.
But now you're on a good foot.
Yeah.
You're feeling a little more energy. Your eyes look great. Your skin looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look good, babe.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, honey buddy. All right.
But,
hey, you guys mind your own damn business.
That's
All
right.
I love the guy, so fuck you guys. All right.
It doesn't make us evil.
No. I got to ask you this. You're a man, like I mentioned, you're a logistics expert. There's almost no part of the game that you can't nail down. What made you come to audio specifically? What was the draw to it? Why not lighting? Why not pyro? I know you like being in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of a corny, goofy thing, but it became audio when I was in, or not audio, but more music related and enamored by the whole process.
Sure.
But it started with this teacher named Miss Livingston in like 5th grade.
Okay.
She had a class called Music Appreciation or whatever that everybody thought, oh, well, I could sleep through that,
Right.
whatever,
Sure.
I could do that. I happen to find it amazing because what she was doing was delving into sounds on like Paul McCartney, on Sgt. Pepper, and sounds like what is a synthesizer like on Fifth of Beethoven by Walter Egan,
Right.
or it was whatever it was, and I was just okay, you got me hooked.
Yeah, it was a new road into music to understand it.
It was that,
Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
And then it became getting an album, when I was like 13 or 14, Foghat Live.
This is the first time you ever got with your money, or was bought for you?
Yeah.
And it was Foghat Live.
Foghat
That's a
Live.
great fucking album. Like
And
78,
I wanted to be
77,
Roger
something like
Earl,
that.
and I wanted to, and Craig McGregor at the time, and all that. And it also came from Don Kirsh's rock concert.
Oh, those are
I
good.
mean, the people that are, obviously our age and have our issues.
Yeah.
Don Kirsh's rock concert. It was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And it would sit in front of a big board.
Yeah. And he would announce this
all the next bands. And I needed to know what that board did.
Yeah.
And I became, and in my yearbook, it says sound engineer.
Wow.
I went to, I started off at the Institute of Audio Research in New York, and then I went to Center for Media Arts. Recording, I really don't enjoy recording, so I'll leave that to the other amazing engineers out there.
Absolutely. It's a very different discipline.
Now. We're now at a point, as Kyle knows, that we're cross-pollinating quite a bit between the recording world and all that. Amazing people that are doing amazing things in our industry.
Paul David Hager comes to mind.
Oh, well,
he's a legend.
I'm not going to say it like that because, I don't want to pull out my credit card again to do that to me. Paul David Hager, having not even a piece of his life personally, but knowing the route kind of that he took, is a great example of complete dedication and wanting to do whatever it took to mix anywhere with a rack.
Yeah.
And even if it was a local band, he would go to Scorpio.
Yeah.
And he would rent a 3K or something.
He's a freaking soldier.
Yeah.
And then they end up with 55 of some of the best albums, biggest albums produced, mixed
Yeah.
and to still go out there and do Devo and Beck and Pink and all
Yeah,
this shit.
they sound amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they sound amazing.
But I agree with you on the studio thing. It's not for everybody.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of great people that do both. Like, you know, your people here, like, Greg Maddox.
Greg Price and Brad Maddox.
Sorry about that.
No, you're
It was
okay.
my deal at Wave. What was that?
I think that's a great name, though, Greg Maddox.
Yeah,
That's pretty
you
good.
edit that out? Greg Price and, you know, and Brad. And then there's all these other people like Pooch who came from a recording background.
That's right.
That, you know, there's probably more little things that I've put in the repertoire from him because, you
he's a
know,
monster.
it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's right.
And I couldn't wait because, you know, I'd watch his show, you know, between his own and him and Rabel.
Right. That's a
And
great
there was
show.
a couple gigs during COVID where I had, and I was like, I can't wait, you know, because I'm watching, you know, all these.
Yeah, you want to
all these
apply some of
video
the stuff
I'm
you're
like,
seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
this is fun.
Yeah. No, he's a friggin' monster. Well, you know, Tater, that show he does with Wrong End of the Snake, great
You're
show.
talking about people who were at the top of the game.
Really the top. I mean, I always, for those two in particular, Tater and Pooch, because they have one of the sweetest spots in rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
So you could say this is U2 or Rolling Stones. In my book, it's Iron Maiden.
I agree.
That's fine
It definitely
shit.
is for Pooch.
What's
you
that?
know, it is for Pooch.
Oh, yeah, I know.
mean, it wouldn't
He's
be
in
a
the sweet
kid.
spot.
Yeah,
He's loved them since he was a
was
kid.
like me on a different level when I was able to mix Foghat, which is the first tour I ever did in my life.
Wow. That's
After owning
impressive.
the record and having Roger Earl call me
Yeah.
and say, the main order of the day is to have fun.
Yeah. Oh, wow, what a
what he said
great
to me.
bit of, you know, a way to bring you to the team.
Oh, yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
that's really great.
He called me and his manager or whatever, and so it was a treat.
Have you had any problems, not to be specific, but have you had any problems meeting your idols, you know, like meeting Foghat, but we're moving on from that subject. Where it didn't always go as you expected somehow. You know, I've warned some of the younger folks, be careful meeting your idols because it's not always what it's cracked up to be.
Well, I can look at it from like not a mentor, but a person that you look up to, like, like Buford Jones.
Oh, he's
you know,
a badass. Pink Floyd.
Yeah, and James Taylor.
Yeah.
I sat behind him more times than not, you know, and so I met him by accident, kind of, because he ran the Montreux Jazz Festival for Meyer.
Sure.
And I happened to be there, as you were talking about earlier, with Sly Stone, which is like, again, is another thing completely. But anyway, he was downstairs in his office. And he was going to come up, and I was on a D show, the first time I ever seen one, I think. You know, it was like 2007 or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he's going to come up and listen to your mix. And I had just got off a plane. I had flown in from somewhere in I think Rome, and I was going to Zurich, and then in a car ride from Zurich to Montreux, which was a very long day. And my ears were plugged, and I was like, I don't want Buford Jones to hear this. So he came up for a little bit, and you know, we got done with the show, and then I got the lunatics from the asylum back to the hotel and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I went down to Buford's office, and we chatted for a little bit, and he gave me, you know, I usually wear it, but the Meyer jacket, you know.
Oh, sure.
And it was like, you know, that was a big gift.
That's huge, yeah.
It really was. And so people like that, you know, you're going to meet them, and they're definitely not disappointed.
Yeah. No, Buford's a badass. And
anybody else I consider, you know, obviously peers. You know, you get lucky in this world to be able to sit behind or have someone on tour with you, like Greg Price, you know.
Dave Morgan, Jakubowski. The list is actually, we're really lucky to have
people that do amazing things.
Yeah. No, I'm with you completely.
And being decent human beings at the same time.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
It isn't, because there are people out there we know that have a real hard time with the humanity piece.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
they got some skills like a Mo. They can mix like a crazy man. Beautiful, beautiful sounds come out, and then they spin around and not so pleasant.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's real.
You want to pop a pill in their mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
In their mouth. Yes.
Yeah. You know. But
they come down 1,000 feet. Get them.
yeah. You know. I don't need to kiss the ring. I just I appreciate you. You know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the biggest treats was came via Facebook, which is odd enough.
Yeah.
But Russell Pope, who used to mix, and a big, Robert Scoville's a big fan of him too.
Yep.
I was, because he mixed
Pioneer.
Supertramp all those years.
Full pioneer.
He was a sixth member of that band, and I sat behind him, Breakfast America.
Oh man.
Brother, Where You're Bound, and all that, and he befriended me on Facebook somehow.
Oh shit.
So we talked for a long period of time, and I'd always kind of geek out and ask him how he mixed Crime of the Century, and all these great songs that I grew up with. And then it was just about, at that point, it was politics. He was an English guy that had the same view as me. And then, sadly, a year or two went by, and then someone in his family reached out to me and said that Russell was in hospice.
Oh man.
And his brother had reached out to me and somebody else, and it passed. He had passed. He was the biggest Beatles fan there ever was. He knew everything about recording and knowing about everything that was Beatles. And just what I felt like was a super giving guy, considering the position he was in.
Yeah. No, Breakfast in America is one of the best recordings.
Yeah, and so is the Supertramp Live in Paris. And other ones.
Oh, these are amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. Well, Russell was a pioneer, and it's a wonderful thing that you got to spend time with, and share thoughts, and that he shared some, I imagine, some secrets. I know you're a probing mind and have poignant questions that I'm sure you directed to him.
It was a different era, but you still listen to him and you go, wow, that guy was just amazing.
Yeah. No way to.
We have it's an endless supply of people that are amazing out there.
Yeah, we're lucky that way. I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck in the fact that there's a couple assholes too, and get hung up on them and forget that there's all these good folks, and that's important to kind of refresh our minds.
And like you said too, and I think Kyle might have said it too, but when you fly into the radar, and I sure do that, because I don't think my name's going to come up in that conversation. I'm not trying to be, whatever, self-defacing, but, you go talk about the same conversation, there are people that do a lot more high profile and have their own thing, and then there are people, like I said, myself, it flies under it, but gets through it just fine.
Well, let's speak about that for a second. So what you're saying is, sure, there's a couple of the Scovilles, the Prices that have these somewhat large names. These names are still isolated amongst us.
Yes.
These are the people we look up to, but in many ways they're also our peers. And so, but someone like Scoville or Maddox or Price or many of the names we mentioned, Hagar comes right to mind.
Yep.
But one thing, I've had 95 of these people on my show, and I love many of them dearly. And I feel this way about you sincerely.
Absolutely, people understand.
Yeah, we're brothers. But like with Hagar, with Paul, I'm looking over his work, and it's not dissimilar to yours. You have been able to manage a career where you have kept yourself busy it's really impressive. There is very few gaps in your resume as it relates to you've always just keep pushing out the good shows.
There's some good periods of time, and a lot of those came again, like I think someone said earlier, right place, the right time.
Yeah. Well, you're a networker too, though. You're really good at your communicating.
I definitely, what I don't like to do, and you see it, is I don't want to use the relationship you have with someone you respect.
Yeah.
To say, hey man, oh by the way, can you keep an eye out? What you do, I do, but it's hopefully it's once.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's just because I don't want to sit with like Jim Runge, who
he's a fucking badass
and all that. When he was living in Nashville, we just go get coffee or Mexican food. It had nothing to do with the gigs other than maybe a little gossip.
Sure.
And that was it. Or
just a member of the tribe, basically.
Yourself or your brother.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, coming out here for the reason of, gee, I hope you could fill my calendar up.
Yeah. You're not minding your friends, is what you're saying.
No, I don't want to do that. Like I said, I will on the side.
Yeah.
Say, by the way, after May, I might be available, or maybe I don't know if I will or not, but maybe that would happen.
Yeah.
But it's more about keeping up. Your circle gets smaller.
That's
it
right.
Just does.
Well,
and it has. Yeah. We talk about that a lot. But in the last 2.5 years, with everything that's gone on, whatever your circle is, kind of either it stays or it doesn't, and people, disappear or they don't.
Yeah.
And that's just, you were a huge, you and your brother specifically were obviously huge supporters of me, vice versa. But at the very beginning of this, we were all, just chatting, being humans, and being
looking out for each other.
Yeah.
We were legitimately worried, I think, you for me for you, and for many of our brothers and sisters, that during the COVID, for example, and the isolation, that we wouldn't burst. No. There was some tense moments there, and that was not. No. This is something we've never. You're a 50-plus-year-old man, myself as well, and we had never dealt with that. We'd had little minor, the 2001 September 11th shit, little blips, but nothing like that.
Not like this.
And that was thorough. That was complete.
That was
and like some of us got knocked on our asses a little bit on that, and it was time to reach out to our brothers and make sure everybody was standing good, and they needed a little firming up, and they needed.
I mean, just a little phone call if you don't.
That shit goes a long way.
Just thinking about you.
Yeah.
Or, if you want to babble and you see some post that just doesn't seem right, or you see somebody struggling, you just, you send a little message and say, listen, this is my number. It happened a few times, So, the middle of the night, or the ones we talked to, that, California versus Indiana time, but, and I'm sorry how many times for hanging up on you, but, that kind of thing.
Well, if you actually had done it, I would have been mad, but it was not you. The low was always there, and we always found a way to circumvent the technology disparity, and that's the brotherhood, and that's the friends,
exactly.
That's the caring for each other.
And that's exactly what, I talk about, within the business. It's gotten smaller, and it's gotten different because of all the things you face. Mm-hmm. Especially in your job, and others.
Yes, sir.
And then you hope, like I said, you can make a trip out. Like I said, being in this particular shop, being around these people, for me, you and your brother specifically, and obviously other people that I've met and that have been awesome, is a big kick in the ass, because you need it.
Yeah.
People can sit here at home watching, this when they do it, and say, well, that isn't me. Horseshit. It is you.
Horseshit.
So own it and let someone help you through it, because life's too short.
Well, it's been a little breath of fresh air having you in the shop too. We've enjoyed the time that you've been here, and
I'm glad I was able to make it through the garage.
Do you ever think that in some ways, because of the nature of our work, and because we've done pretty well at keeping what we do to ourselves, because that's part of the game, that it's somewhat, I feel there's kind of a civilian versus like that we're a little assed out, but in a way that we like,
right?
That we're in our own little clique, and so sometimes it's harder to reach out to like what I call civilians.
I always call them civilians too.
Yeah, because I can't talk to them in a way that's meaningful, that they'll understand for the most part what I'm saying, beyond the idea that they think all we do is, have fun and hang out with rock stars.
Well, that's true. I deal with my niece and nephew, kids that bring you back.
Yeah.
So they're the civilians, and my wife. But although she's been with me for a long time, so I wouldn't say she's a civilian, but understands it all.
Yeah.
But the people that do get it, and I mean the people that get everything from wearing your stuff on your sleeve to not saying anything to going on this roller coaster of, internally that you won't tell anybody about.
That's right.
Because you think that you're gonna lose some cred in the business if you just talk openly about the fact that it's not every post is about me.
Yeah.
Not every meme that I post that's supposed to be positive is about me going through something.
Yeah.
Or is it you? It's that people are watching something out there, and they may need that day.
You've done this many times. You hit the Eastern philosophies really strong, and I've gotten little messages from you that have really changed my momentary spot that I was in.
And that's the point too.
And
I find people that really need to.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue about all the other crap that's going on there.
No.
And again, the business, the 2 or 3 million people, that I don't lay claim to, that have been affected by this, and then friends who, you know, especially companies like you guys who I respect a lot, and other people, you know, able to go back to do what you do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not jealousy or, you know,
Oh, of course not.
or anything like that, but people have talked about that a little bit, but that's not what it is. You know, it's generally wanting people to succeed around you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's genuinely wanting people to do the best they can. You know?
But it has been a little interesting to watch, especially through a lot of our friends, how uneven that's been. You know, depending on the market you're working, depending on the game you're in, depending if your band's trying to be overseas. What are some of the limitations that this recent situation, the recent pandemic, had caused us, and it's been very uneven. So some of us went back, or some of us even really didn't stop very much. I mean, we weren't doing the full tilt boogie, but we came up with some other things like, you know.
Yeah, when you guys had to.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're in that position.
We brick and mortar, man. There's millions of dollars of equipment here. This stuff has got to,
of course,
it's got to make sense. It's got to pencil, you know. Yeah.
But then again, you look around the shop, which you guys can't see there, although I took a bunch of pictures today. You look around the shop, and what you see when you walk in the shop doesn't have to be anything else. It doesn't have to be a piece of gear that comes out of a box. Yeah. What you see in the shop when you walk down these is, you know, that people care about the gear. Yeah. You know about the quality work that goes out the door. Absolutely. You know about the people that are doing that job very well. And that's what you take away from what I see, you know, in here, because I hadn't been in this shop. You know, I've been in Escondido a couple times. Yeah. Nashville a bunch. Sure. But, you know, it's those things are what reflect on people like that. And you doing your thing. So congrats to you for this, and congrats for everybody else following through. I mean, you're going on tour, and you had a big part of this. Yeah. Right?
Oh, shit. This is, it's going to be a challenge not to have him, although we need him to go do good things on this big client of ours for a very extended tour. To not have him around, and folks like him, is, you know, it's a dent. It's a hit.
Some people have to just leave the house.
You can't pin him down at this age.
Don't get empty nest syndrome with Kyle.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But he is a hell of an asset. And
but you know, you can get a Kyle doll.
And you will be missed. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, there's lanes that you help us with that are, you know, critical. And so we're gonna do some mixing and matching, and we make things always happen, because we're always trying to get the younger guys out and doing their thing, especially highly talented guys like this young man. And we never try to keep anybody down, because we, you know, as older dudes, we've been there. We know that pull, that nomadic pull.
Well, no, it's kind of what you guys are tying into, because I've been recently talking to a few friends about it, where it's like that idea of like, you're only as good as your last gig. And where did that end up, like, at the beginning of COVID? Where did that place a lot of guys that don't work for companies and stuff? Yeah. So I find it very fortunate that I have an establishment like this that I did put some time and energy into.
You proved yourself out. That's what you did.
Yeah,
you showed us that you are safe to put in the world.
Yeah. And it's crazy really analyzing how many people that made that pivot, like you're saying, through COVID to make other avenues and ends meet. And it's not like I'm jealous of the gig kind of thing. It's nothing like that. It's just like, you know, the way that you've approached it led you to these avenues that got extinguished, whether it's through COVID or just the time related. So to see other people coming back into it and the same kind of time frame that I'm trying to step out is really interesting.
It is. Again, it's that unevenness. And the one that surprised me was how many folks. Well, some we lost 20-something% off to IT, other things, because these are very talented people. You're all very talented
50% to real estate, it seems like.
It does. There's been some weird lanes that they chose to. But other folks, like, look what Maxie was on last week, Maxie Williams, and he was talking about.
I heard him talking about doing every job.
I was so impressed by that, because Maxie's a badass. Maxie's Maxie fucking Williams, you know.
Well, you have Max Williams painting your house, can you imagine?
Well, no, what he did was he was a fucking man, and he went and dealt with the situation that was in front of him and provided for his family, even though he's got this ridiculous set of skills that he couldn't practice anywhere. He couldn't employ. And he still had bills and women and children, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Maxie stepped right the fuck up. That was such a lovely interview with him, and to hear his take on it and how he went to that.
You know, there's a passion. Like Martin Fry did the same thing. He subbed himself out on painting people's houses, doing work because he's a great knows everything about anything, and and he can and he does so many great things in his own house. So he helped a lot of musicians out.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he busted his ass for majority of COVID until you get back and do your gigs again.
That's right. Totally.
That's the. And then the other people, like Pooch had said a bunch of times, if you are in this thing and you don't find out something new at the end of it, then it was all for naught.
Yeah, you maybe didn't do it. You didn't approach it right. Maybe.
Yeah,
there's a takeaway for sure.
There are people that obviously look at it like, and I did too. Wow, someone just chopped you up with the kneecaps.
Yeah.
You get a little deeper than that almost. It's almost like, in a way, even though it was not the way to do it necessarily, but the world, I kind of believed, the world and the people in it and everything else needed a break.
We were getting hammered pretty hard right before that,
Yeah, COVID did. Everybody in the world was
Well, remember how pissed off we were for a minute there because of some stuff that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's just say, the political situation was hard for us for a minute.
Very, very hard.
And we were fucking struggling. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like things that we would have normally been handled a certain way were then not. Now there was this big denial of a situation that was happening all around us. 700,000 people fucking died.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like to get into this, but that was some peaks and valleys on the emotional spectrum there.
I kind of, like I said, I felt like the universe was like, you need a timeout. And it was odd that, when everybody was on the road, you could see the Los Angeles basin clear of pollution
went away.
And it went away.
We saw it here, brother. We saw it fucking here.
Pictures of it.
We also had the Red Death Day here, which right in the middle of COVID just really set it in. Do you remember all the fires and the sky?
Oh shit! I forgot California was on fire like a moe. I mean, we were in a bad way. There was a fire from a mile from our house. My chick got in. I was up here.
I remember talking to you about that. Yeah,
but my Betty had to. Not cool.
No, not cool.
Yeah, California that way. We were. That's a whole nother batch of shit.
I know, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sick. But, the other side was like people saw in India, saw the Himalayas for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not. It
was like the world was repairing itself from.
Yeah. I'm not advocating all this crap of what I'm saying is accurate. I'm just saying that.
These were observable facts.
They were kind of
if they jive with your political or your persuasion or your belief system is irrelevant because that's what the fuck happened. When you take millions of cars off the road and sit people down in their fucking house and they stop contributing to the world's ongoing situations, there's going to be a change.
It's going to be,
and that was a long enough period that's what we saw.
Exactly.
If you believe it or not, it happened.
Of course it
is. And that's quite a interesting statement and fact as it relates to our contributions and how things are going. And we were just talking about, weather issues that are involving traveling by aircraft.
Yes, we are.
And and a lot of people have really. I just had Winston Dama in here, coming off of a half hour ago, coming off of straight from doing, I believe it was the Pointer Sisters, 6 shows with the Pointer Sisters in Florida, and he went through a travel nightmare because of some really large, 50 million people involved weather systems.
I saw those news last week.
Same thing.
Yeah. This is real. This is happening, like it or not. And I have a feeling, unusually, we don't go down these roads often, but I have a feeling that these will be issues that have to be dealt with in the future as it relates to fly dates, how gigs go down. Winston was telling me that keyboard dudes weren't showing up because they were stuck somewhere, and these are problems that
logistically and fly dates. Yeah, for whoever's doing it, you realize. I realized earlier on in this when COVID was really obviously a thing, and the skies were kind of closed up, and we were just starting before the vax. That you had to fly people in. Staggered into these cities. Yeah. And then it became, well, I'm going to cancel this route because nobody's on it, and it's on a regional jet. And you lose your gear. And it was one band that just couldn't get it through the head that, no, you can't take, you have to come up with a B plan, and you can't fly your whole ear rack on this thing because they're not going to put it on a regional jet, period. Yeah. And I ended up having to say, I don't want to do this. Because
I remember we talking about this.
Yeah, I had a great travel agent that would have done anything, but you can't make them. It's not magician-like.
Yeah. There's no wand involved in this.
No, if you A will not fit in slot B on a plane.
Yeah.
If you don't want it to.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I memean, it's just.
You're not wrong. Let's roll around in some of your history. You got really. There's a couple things. I do this because I mentioned you with Five Finger Death Punch and all these really amazing bands, Deftones and Stevie Vice, the Stone Temple Pilots. These are bands that I have some, not Stevie so much, but some of the other ones that I have some history with, and I love these bands from a musical perspective. And as bands, and some of the guys are great people. But I can't help myself when I look at a history like yours. I got to ask you about some of the ones that really jump out for me as a more of a music historian, as a person that really respects it and just loves the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Working with somebody like Paul Schaefer. Now, Paul Schaefer, people that don't know, Paul Schaefer's this little dude. You probably know him from Dave Letterman. Extraordinary musician, knows every song in the canon of music, every single song, can play it. But what he really is he's the guy who wrote the Saturday Night Live theme song. He's the first band leader for the Saturday Night Live show in 1975 or 6. He formed and led the Blues Brothers.
Absolutely.
And he is a fucking monster. See how excited I can't help myself. This is, to me, this is a guy, this is like a big deal.
It was.
What was it like? And he's a happy little dude, and he's extraordinary. He's a talented.
He's a little ball of fire.
And the little guy, he just got all this, and it's crazy. What was it like when we were working with the great Paul Schaefer?
It was amazing because if you are a musician history type person, or actually a geek of any one of those band members.
Yeah.
When I got
Willie and all those guys.
Yeah. Well, not specifically. And Anton Fig and Tom Bones Malone.
Yeah. Oh, really? Was Bones Malone there?
Yeah.
Remember Bones?
Oh, yeah.
That's
great
awesome,
horn
dude.
section.
Yeah.
We had, people showing up at all
so
these
cool.
gigs.
That's Blues Brothers. That's a Blues Brothers horn.
Yeah. He's one of the wrote the charts, I believe.
Wow.
And so when I got asked to do this, well, the other part was so great was the fact that Skitch Kennedy was a keyboard. Was a monitor guy.
Yeah.
And he was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love Skitch. He's got sketches all day long. It was a fun kind of run.
Oh, yeah. I need you to put in a good word with me with Skitch to get him over here.
Sure.
All right. Just saying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail you.
Come out of the kitchen.
What was him, the guy?
Yeah.
Someone from the kitchen?
He's a blast.
He got a lot to say.
He's such a talent.
Yeah.
Talk about a history.
No shit, right?
But so the first thing what I remember was we were rehearsing at SAR downtown New York, and we were kind of Skitch and I were trying to figure out input lists and what people are going to be on ears, all that other stuff. And then I had a profile in the other room, and as I was getting sounds, I'm listening. At the time, it was Will Calhoun because
Will, the guitarist.
Huh?
Will Calhoun?
Yeah, from Living Color and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was Anton Fig, from Joe Bonamassa and everybody that ever hit.
Fig's a
And there was
badass.
others. The substitute list was like a who's who by itself.
Right. Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, and then you hear Will Lee, who's been on everything.
He's a
super
great bass player.
amazing guy.
He's got a timing that is like he's a little bit like
he's
James Jemison.
Oh yeah,
that is a deep soul.
It was just amazing. And then the subplot of that was seeing a guy out of the corner of my eye who was all in black, and he looked like he just kind of popped in off the streets and he was just listening.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize him at all at the time. And then it kind of clicked. And it was Donald Fagen.
No,
it wasn't. It was Walter Becker. Sorry. He has a guitar locker there. It did.
Yeah.
And he was coming in, and he heard his.
That's
he goes,
Steely Dan's guitars, by the way.
Is that Paul in the gang? And I said, yeah. and he was saying, oh, they're amazing. This is Walter Becker from Steely Dan.
Right. Legend.
Legend.
We lost him recently, unfortunately.
And that wasn't too long after we saw him, actually.
Yeah. Wow.
Excuse me, but yeah.
You were kind of hanging out with a national treasure for a minute there.
For a minute.
Yeah. Especially in a weird way. And we all know the thing with, I don't think it's so much anymore, but for a long time, man, people used his work to wring out their shit. You
I
know?
used to use a Donald Fagen tune, and everybody. I asked the guy, one of the guys that mixed Steely Dan recently.
Yeah. What
do
does
you
Steely
use?
Dan use?
Yeah, and
We
he
asked
said
the same thing.
Yeah, we did.
I use Steely Dan. Usually like Nightfly or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've heard the answer is Toto,
I use Toto.
Katie Lang,
Oh yeah,
and Sade.
yep, and Seal too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a couple
He
others.
was Gaslighting Abby.
Yeah.
That's like one of my
Oh,
favorite
that's
Steely
solid
Dan
shit, dude.
tracks.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many ways to slay this cat, but there's a few things that really cover all the bases, and the production is spotless.
Absolutely.
And Dan brings it. You know, they've been the tool for many an engineer
absolutely.
for many years. I
yeah.
only think now it's slightly changing for some of the newer guys, but
Yeah, I think you have to. You just need Kyle agree with this. That you just need a. Well, I don't know what people. Everybody uses for different reasons.
Sure.
But my go-to has always been the Toto Minefields album. But there's a couple songs on it that are absolutely incredible, and there's other stuff that brings out part of the PA. And people ask me if it's you're mixing a metal band, why are you listening to jazz? And it's really just because, or listening to something specific.
sure.
It's because you're trying to hear the PA in its best form. Not
Right.
everything is going to be at 5K and 110 dB.
That's right.
So you want to make it subtle, and you want to do things that you can do with it. At least that's what I do.
No, you're absolutely right. But I like to hear your explanation of it. That's I think a lot of the younger guys could help them understand what the process is there, because it's not, you don't bring out Chevelle to put on Chevelle necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But then
Yeah.
there are people out there that use like spoken word in a certain way. Dio's front of house guy. When I remember, I think it was. No, I can't think of his name, but we did a tour of Spain with Anthrax back the day, and
Yeah.
I think it was Doug. Someone was mixing Dio, and he was using spoken word, which had all these different vowels and all this other stuff. And mainly, I think it was also because Dio's voice.
I think that was a more
he was a money
Dio-specific
channel.
thing, maybe.
Yeah, so it was a money channel, and
Yeah.
he was just trying to get spoken word, and that was pretty happening.
Ronnie James was a wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Holy compressor.
One of my favorite albums of all time, though, seriously, for the hard rock genre, would be Heaven and Hell. And I don't think a lot of people would
tour.
me too. And I don't think actually, that's not exactly correct. But yes, that was a special
It
thing.
was.
And I don't think a lot of people necessarily share my opinion.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath fans, I think, would probably, refer to some of the
you listen
earlier
to Mob
Ozzy
Rules,
works.
too, and that's pretty great too. And
What's
that's
that, bud?
Mob Rules.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a couple cuts that are killer from Dio, and
Yeah.
and it was Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult was what it was.
That happened fast. We've been killing it, dude. This is the exact kind of show I love. When the shows are going right, the time just blows by. And because I don't look over there. I don't. You maybe notice that I stay.
Get people to yell at you, Uncle Vince.
This guy's he's tuning me in because he's here to help me out.
That's what it should be. I was wondering when this moment was going to end.
Well, no. The analytics tell us that for the show to be more viewed and more people struggle with coming in after 50 minutes. So if it says an hour and 7 minutes, they might not watch it at all. Because they just can't see themselves in a world where there's 5-minute clips.
Fans are going to go, who is this guy again?
No, I don't think so, because I've shit the bed so bad on that last time. Let me ask you. I mentioned that. Well, I don't want to. I'm gonna. This is my show, so I can do shit. You
You do whatever you want.
You're the best.
You got a lot of knives there for influences.
Well, this is just keeping you in line. Look, I'm afraid of you, so I don't want no trouble.
You notice
I
how they're all
got
pointed
a
at me.
pointy ashtray.
It's really keeping him in
I'm
line.
going to get you in the knuckles with this wrench right here.
That wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think I know his name, too.
Yeah, you do. All right. I mentioned that you've worked with some amazing bands, The Outlaws, Molly Hatchet, Anthrax, Toby Keith. And I like that there's a nice rebellion. There's a nice splay across Herbie fucking Hancock.
Yeah,
You mentioned Herbie Hancock to us earlier, and you were, and I love these stories. I know Herbie's work very well. I wasn't aware about his preference for pianos. Talk to us about when you worked with Herbie Hancock. One of the one of the things that made it a little more challenging was trying to team him up with these special pianos. What was? Can you relate it?
Well, you know, if anybody knows his work, it's a Pizzoli.
Pizzoli?
A Pizzoli that's based in Italy, made, I think, handmade. I think it used to be handmade by a family out there.
Yeah.
And I think there's not many of them. And he has one here, I think in LA.
Yeah.
He has another one in Europe, and I'm sure there's probably one on the Pacific Rim where it gets shipped.
Sure.
It sounds amazing, and you know, as not being a pianist, I think it's the playing and a certain part of the tone that you can tell between that and almost any other piano. Yeah. And you listen to pianos on records that that people have played, like Bosendorfers or Yamahas or whatever. Pizzoli has a certain thing about it, and you don't notice it until it's in the PA, obviously,
right?
Or maybe you wouldn't know that was a Baldwin or something on a recording.
Sure.
And it's also intimidating a little bit, when you're not used to mixing that kind of acoustic instrument.
Sure.
And it's Herbie, and it's also Vinny Cayuta. And I subbed on a lot of a couple weeks of shows. My good friend is the manager of Herbie, and they needed someone during the possibilities side, or one of those that had all the duets on it and all that, and had great guests, like Marcus Miller, and
it must have been amazing. I mean, it's Herbie Hancock, and anybody that plays with him is going to be really, really.
And he's also an amazing guy. He's a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Brings a little shrine with him.
I didn't know that.
One of the cooler
very
things.
Positive, very calm.
Yeah, he's just got the whole band, the vibe.
Yeah.
Having Vinny Cayuta, James Genus on the bus, which is all they care. They've all had this career that's mind blowing.
Right.
Vinny Cayuta alone, whether you look at his discography, is absolutely amazing.
It's insane.
But what's better is the hang. The hang is 3-5 people on a bus. It's when you get off the bus, you're in a very amazing hotel, which could be a drag, and in one way because you blow your whole PD. And you look for a Jimmy John's instead of a takeout.
Right.
But a cup of coffee costs $18. But what was really cool is, like I said, is the hang. And Herbie and I were flying, obviously him and first, and me coach, but we're flying, and he came back to coach because the iPad had just came out at the time. And, there was no internet, but I could take a look and see what it all does. So he had all his music on there, and he walked back to give it to me. He said, I know you're a junkie too. And he was a developer for Apple. And all the people that were around me said, is that Herbie Hancock? I go, yeah. Did he just give you an iPad? I said, yep. But for no other reason to say that other than the man is a gentleman.
And generous with his time and his goodies.
I've been to his house once or twice because, like I said, my friend Melinda works for him. And you sit in and you hold, I held a Grammy for around midnight.
Wow.
And I held an MTV award for Rocket.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that's what blew him up, right?
Yeah. Even though it was all Miles Davis stuff long before that.
Yeah.
And a lot of other stuff like the Headhunters and all these other things. Yeah. Yes. He got
sadly, he wasn't as known as he probably should have been for some of his amazing accomplishments before that.
Forefront of electronic music.
Yeah.
There was people like Bill Laswell and all these other people that were doing this, and
you were fucking name dropping like crazy, buddy.
Well, that was I didn't.
No, those are all. These are national treasures you're talking about.
They are.
These are really, and a lot of them sadly are somewhat under the radar.
Oh yeah, way under the radar.
Sadly,
yeah,
because there's a lot of amazing guitarists, and players, but man, there's some people that have just put in the work, and some of this is the playlist of our lives.
Absolutely,
This is the soundtracks of our lives. The people that he's talking about, and where I come from on this, I'm a big fan. So very cool.
You come at this, if you come at this, which a lot of people do, as complete fans or where your background comes from. Like I said, I find it no better of a time anywhere than to sit with a good friend, and I just did it with Martin Fry last week, and listening on a great PA and just almost critical listening, but not really.
Yeah.
It's good hang, you know, and you're
Absolutely.
just kind of just listening to music as a fan again.
Sure.
And you're not, you know, it's not about like, you know, having to catch that flight. It's not about the gig. It's not about anything else. It's about being a fan.
Yeah.
And that's to me, you know, is
Nice.
much better.
I agree. Yeah, sometimes I think it can be. I know there was a moment when I started getting a little bit away from that part of my interest in it, my passion for it.
Yeah.
And it's you don't want to lose that, you know.
No,
Especially if you-
it's easy to do it if
It
you're
can be,
solo, or
yeah.
if you just like listen to music just to whatever, you know. And then there are times you can listen to it; it'll take you back to a moment, as we all know.
Yeah.
Or if you listen to a mix from someone that you know,
Yeah.
and you're like, Jesus Christ, you know, that was amazing.
where you can really just
I'll name drop. Chris Rabel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think he did the broadcast. I could be wrong, and he could email me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But he had done a great mix. You know, I think he did the broadcast mix for Bruno.
Oh, well,
And it was so.
we talked about this, and first of all, okay, so it really helps when what's coming to your board is really good.
Really good.
When you got like Silk, what's their Silk Smooth or their newest thing? They just won all those. They just
Oh, the
cleaned
Silk
up.
Smooth, yeah.
That's ridiculous. That is really
That's
fucking
music.
good.
I mean, that's like, you know, they got the message.
Those kids, before this, you understood that he was basically the Hawaiian James Brown. He was
Right.
trying for
Absolutely.
his bones. There was something in his
soul, it was somewhere else, yeah.
He's maybe a reincarnation of something.
It would have to be.
And he's an extreme, and he ain't bringing it out until it's right too. That's another thing. Is he will sit on his
There's
work
so much
and
talent and,
tweak
like,
it
those
and tweak
sick
it
people.
and bring in big badasses to help him be
Yeah.
what he is.
Yeah.
And to have Chris out in his live work, oh, I can only imagine that as a spotless fucking performance. Spotless production. I haven't been lucky enough to see that or hear Chris's mix. I just know what he can do.
Live, but I'd like to.
Oh man, right?
Throw a word out there if he ever is around somewhere. But
Yeah.
it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I watched so many of the Pooch Raybold episodes.
Yeah.
And the way they come with it is, you know, that Chris is comes kind of more from the, you know, analog, organic side, and Pooch has a couple things in there, but he can get out of the box just as easily. So the two of them talking is amazing to listen to.
Well, they have their distinct kind of approach, and
Yeah.
and then they're different flavors, and they kind of blend, and it's a very. I highly recommend this show.
I think anybody that's
Pooch and
out there-
Raybold is a great show.
Yeah, I think there's 46 episodes now, and I think I've watched them all.
Yeah.
And the other ones were a little personal too, about COVID and
Yeah.
how everybody was like, you know, his world, Pooch. A lot of at the time were all taking a crap, but they all admit that it's not an easy journey.
No two ways about that.
And you know, I appreciate them saying that.
Well, you know, and I think that's a little. I think the message we're trying to send is that you got to put in the work, but the reward is strong, and that there's good people in this industry, and there's a career to be had. But you've got to put in the work.
Oh, you have to put in the work, and you have to give a shit. You know,
You got to give a shit, and you got to. There's going to be some long days. There's going to be some occasional hardships and setbacks. But if you're really in this to win this, and you feel it, and you're bringing it from the right place, this is a great industry and a great gig to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you listen to, like, you know, Frank Scambolone tell it. You know, when he was you know doing all that stuff.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
And Shoko and everything else, and having the lessons learned that he did.
He came up the honest way.
He did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not about being a company man necessarily, as it is about putting yourself in a position of learning every last thing there is.
And look at where he is now.
And yeah,
I mean,
I was talking to him about this immersion thing that he did with Luke. And if, you know, I read the article too. Billboard saying how amazing this thing
Frank's
was.
actually a pretty good writer.
Huh?
Frank's actually a pretty good writer as well.
Well, he is. He's also funny as hell. He's one of the funniest people.
He's a
out there.
great guy. Yeah.
But listening to him talk on your show, that's what I listen to a lot of too, is that we have Frank on there or others, you know, that are rooting for just doing it as organic as possible. I told you the best, I don't want to embarrass him or anything like that, but you know, one of the best things I ever heard live in a while was listening to him mix Alice in Chains in Australia.
I don't think that would embarrass him. I think he would take that as exactly what it is. It's a huge compliment towards his skills because you know what Alice in Chains are supposed to sound like.
Oddly enough, I asked him a couple questions, so he sent me a very long email about all the things. So I use some of these, these tricks, or not even tricks, or just things like, oh, I get it.
Sure. Theories, philosophies, tools.
Yeah. What you're doing to get the imaging and how you're doing to do these things that were, and Pooch was right next to a mixing alter bridge, so it was like a double treat.
Yeah.
I'm listening to two guys that,
and then you're there, so can you imagine this gaggle? This is the gaggle of Pooch, Scambaline, and Pearlman.
Yeah, who was the odd man out there?
What's that?
Who's the odd man out there?
Pooch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He would appreciate me saying that.
Yeah.
Because we got love for each other.
Right.
Listen, we're pushing right up against it.
Yep.
Scotty, you know that. Listen, the people who watch this show, I'm very. Like I've been doing this whole thing without my glasses, which you see I'm kind of because I've
never seen this before. This is a new side. This
is not a thing that I do. But I need the audience to really understand that I care about all the people that have been on the show. And we've had some really wonderful folks, but I hold you very dear to my heart. You're a brother. You are truly one of my dear friends, and
you as well.
And I just can't tell you. I mean, I got the big hair right now because what a treat it's been to have you on the show.
It's been amazing. It's been exactly what the doctor ordered, and very proud and happy at the same time to be here.
Thank you.
It was great to be around humans.
Will you come in? Can we go eat dinner now?
Yes.
All right, man.
It's time to get naked.
We're gonna go roll around in some some hot sauce and some fudge sauce and
some wrong sauce. Okay.
We're just gonna get the wrong sauce. He's not wrong. He's not wrong about the wrong sauce is going to happen. He's my brother, and we're going to go get some dinner. We did this special because this is a Monday or two. I don't know.
You're giving away the secrets?
Fuck. These are our people. So we're doing this one. This one's going to come out in the can. I can't tell you who's going to be on next week. Scotty, thank you for being here, my love. You're
I
just
appreciate
the best.
it very much. Thanks for all you guys, everybody in this company, for being very supportive over the years and allowing me to pop up here and just be a fly in the wall.
If there's anything that the crew of Backstage Pass, beyond the Backstage Pass, can do for you, or the crew of Sound Image, please.
Absolutely.
We're a phone call away.
Well, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. It just goes without saying. And I hope you know that in your heart.
Of course I do.
And your freshly repaired heart that's going to tick for a long time.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We love you, brother.
I can't have any more pork, though.
We're going to go get you some fish or something, some salad. We got you covered.
I get squeezed. My gizzard out right now. And shit bacon cubes.
I got you back, man. We got you covered. Although I think we might end up at the steakhouse, but you're going to order carefully, okay?
Hey, by the way, give me another meat.
No more meat for you. They have other things. I got you back.
Let's go to a Japanese barbecue, and we'll just get a meat.
Well, we're going to go up and probably do this. I don't know. Well, let's sort it out. I'm totally open to anything, Daddy.
All right.
Yeah. I'm super good with that. Last time I went to Japanese, though, I was ruined for like 2 days on the tempura. It was just pure oil. It fucked me hard.
Right.
It was not cool.
Yeah, you were just in the fetal position, so you need to take it easy on yourself.
I think should be eating salad with you, brother. I think you may have, you're onto something.
You should be having cereal and bananas.
So this is the after show.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, we just wandered around for a second there. and I know for a fact that we just went over an hour, and I only started looking at 49 an hour and 1 minute ago, so I have a feeling we're longer than that. Anyways, it's all in the good service of hanging with my good friends, and I appreciate them very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Kyle, for being here. We'll air this show sometime in the very near future. I have to look at the calendar. We're booked up for the next 4 or 5 days, but this is one that I really needed to get in the can because it's a person I adore, and the first time didn't go so well because of technology, so we did it again. And I appreciate you guys watching. I can't tell you who's going to be on next week. What I suggest you do is you turn in and see for yourselves. We do it every Thursday night. We do it at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do it for you. Until we see you again, behave, act right, have a good night.